In the quiet recesses of an unfamiliar planet, hidden deep within the endless expanse of space, a mother and her children struggled to survive. The world was harsh, barren, dry, and unforgiving. The ground was cracked, the skies dark with looming storms that never seemed to break. The air was thin, suffocating, and their once lush home had turned into a land of endless sand and dust. They had once lived peacefully in a village, part of an alien society that had now turned against them. But their life of belonging was long gone. The people of this planet, proud and rigid, had labeled them as outcasts. The family had been cast away simply because they were different, different in appearance, different in their ways, and now they were left to fend for themselves. Rejected. The mother, a woman with tired but fierce eyes, walked carefully through the rocky terrain, shielding her children from the sun. Her hair, once long and dark, was now streaked with silver, worn down by endless days of struggle. Her youngest, a small boy, clung tightly to her hand as she led him toward a hidden cave in the distance. The child's big, frightened eyes mirrored her own anxiety. "We're close now," she whispered to them, her voice steady but soft. "Just a little further." Her older daughter, barely a teenager, kept close behind. Her expression was guarded, though her determination burned brightly. They had no allies, no one to trust, and no future in this society that had turned cold and unyielding. Days had turned to weeks as they moved from one place to another, always running, always hiding. Their lives depended on staying unseen, because if anyone found out where they had gone, they would be hunted down. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the valley, alien guards patrolling nearby. The mother's heart raced, and she instinctively pulled the children behind a pile of rocks, pressing them into the cool shadows. "We'll wait here until they pass," she said, her voice low, steadying. Her gaze was sharp, scanning the landscape. The guards moved slowly, their large, imposing figures casting long shadows. They were covered in thick, metallic armor, their faces hidden behind reflective visors. The aliens, proud rulers of this planet, ruled with fear. They believed they were superior, and anything or anyone who did not conform was deemed a threat. The family had learned this the hard way. "They are getting closer," whispered her daughter, fear creeping into her voice. "Stay quiet," the mother hissed in response. Her fingers gripped the rock as she peered out, watching the patrol pass them by. As soon as the soldiers disappeared from view, she exhaled deeply and motioned for the children to move with her once more. "We must keep going. We can't stay in one place too long," she said, determination shining in her eyes. The boy looked up at her, his small hand tightening around hers. "Where are we going?" His voice trembled. "To a safe place," she replied, though even she wasn't sure how far they could go before their luck ran out. As they walked on, the mother glanced back at the ruins of their old village. It was a place she once called home, now nothing more than a ghost town. The buildings stood hollow, the few surviving structures a reminder of what had once been. She could almost hear the echo of her children's laughter, long ago replaced by silence. The people here had once been kind, but fear and suspicion had spread like a disease. When they realized the family was different, they had been cast aside like unwanted relics. "We were safe once," she murmured to herself, shaking her head. "But now, they've taken everything from us." Her daughter's eyes darted around, scanning for any sign of trouble. "We'll never make it far enough. They'll find us, sooner or later." The mother didn't have an answer. She only knew that if they didn't move, they would perish. This world no longer offered mercy, only cold, calculated cruelty. She pushed forward, determined to find the place she had heard rumors of, a sanctuary hidden beyond the reaches of their enemies, a place where the weak could find shelter, where they could be safe. As they walked deeper into the wilderness, she suddenly felt a presence, something unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. Her instincts flared. She turned sharply, looking around, but saw no one. Still, she knew they were not alone. "Something's coming," she whispered. Her daughter grabbed her hand. "What is it?" "I don't know, but we must stay alert." Then, without warning, a figure emerged from the shadows. A human. He was tall, wearing simple clothing, his expression calm but firm. His dark eyes locked onto the family, and though he bore no weapons, there was a quiet strength in his presence. He moved with purpose, unafraid of the alien patrols nearby. It was clear he had found them on purpose. "Whoa!" The mother began, but the man raised a hand to silence her. "I've been watching you," he said calmly. His voice had a reassuring tone, different from the harshness they had become accustomed to. "You're strong, but you can't face this alone." Her eyes narrowed. "Who are you? Why are you here?" "My name is Alex," he replied simply. "I'm a traveler, someone who seeks to help those in need. And right now, you and your children need help more than anyone." Hope flickered in her chest, but she quickly masked it. "Why would you help us?" "No one has ever cared." "Because you shouldn't have to fight this alone." Alex's gaze softened, and he gestured toward a hidden path. "There's a place beyond this planet, a refuge where you can be safe, far from here, away from the alien rulers. You have a chance to start over." The mother's heart pounded. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. Was this stranger speaking the truth? Could they really escape this world and find a new beginning? "You're saying you can take us there?" she asked, skeptical. "I can," Alex said firmly. "But it won't be easy. You'll face dangers along the way, and those who chase you won't stop." She glanced down at her children, eyes filled with determination. They had no other choice. If they stayed, they would surely perish. But with this man's help, they might have a chance to escape, to find freedom. "Then we'll go," she said, her voice steady. "We'll follow you." Together, they began the journey, away from the shadows of the past, toward a future they could only hope would be different. And as they moved forward, the stars above seemed to watch, offering silent promises of something new on the horizon. The journey from their old life had begun. The mother, her children, and Alex, this strange human traveler, walked in quiet companionship, each step forward driven by hope, but shadowed by doubt. Days passed, stretching into nights as they moved deeper into unknown territory. The landscape shifted from barren plains to rugged hills, and the air grew cooler, filled with the scent of distant forests. Yet the past weighed heavily on their shoulders, and the looming threat of discovery was never far from their minds. The family had grown used to silence. Every conversation was measured, cautious. But Alex's presence brought a strange comfort. He spoke little about himself, focusing instead on their survival. He told them of the place he called a sanctuary, an untouched refuge far from the alien society that had rejected them. It was located on the fringes of known space, hidden in a region where even the most powerful rulers dared not tread. "Their reach is long, but it isn't endless," Alex explained one evening as they sat beneath the sparse canopy of trees. "There's a place where you'll be safe, away from the fear, away from the persecution. A place where you can live freely." The mother listened carefully, her brow furrowed. She had learned not to trust easily, but something about Alex's words gave her hope, a fragile thing, but a glimmer of hope nonetheless. "Why would you do this?" she asked, her voice soft but firm. "Why would you risk everything to help strangers like us?" Alex exhaled slowly, his gaze fixed on the stars overhead. "Because I believe in second chances. I've seen too many people cast aside by the universe, left to fend for themselves. I can't stand by and watch that happen again." The mother looked down at her children, watching them huddle close together, their eyes reflecting both fear and curiosity. She had spent countless nights shielding them from harm. Her only goal now was to ensure they had a future, one where they could live without fear. "But why do you care?" she asked again. "No one else would have helped. No one else believes in us." "I do," Alex replied simply. "Because sometimes All it takes is one person to change everything. Their journey was slow, cautious. Every shadow seemed to hide potential threats, and the alien patrols still lurked in the distant edges of space, ever watchful. The family had to be wary. One wrong move could mean capture or worse. And yet, Alex moved with confidence, as though he had done this many times before. One morning, as they reached a narrow pass flanked by towering cliffs, Alex stopped suddenly. He tilted his head, his sharp eyes scanning the landscape. The mother instinctively grew alert, her senses on edge. "What is it?" she asked, her voice low. Alex pointed ahead, toward a strange cluster of faint lights in the distance, tiny beacons that flickered in the dark. "We're not alone," he murmured. "There's something ahead, something waiting." The family exchanged wary glances. Whatever this was, it felt different from the usual danger they'd encountered. The lights weren't hostile, but they weren't friendly either. They pulsed with a strange, unnatural energy, alien technology, perhaps something unknown to their eyes. "What do you think it is?" the daughter asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm not sure," Alex admitted, "but it could be the answer we're looking for, or something more dangerous." Without hesitation, Alex motioned for them to move closer, his steps deliberate. The mother followed closely, clutching her children tightly. Her heart raced with fear, but she couldn't turn back now. They had come too far, too close to something that might offer them a new path. As they drew nearer, the lights began to resolve into structures, tall, crystalline towers that shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The ground beneath them was smooth and metallic, unlike anything they had ever seen. The air grew colder, tingling against their skin. It felt alive. "What is this place?" the mother whispered, her voice barely audible. "I think it's a gateway," Alex said, his tone filled with awe. "A place where technology and space meet. A passage to somewhere else." Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, a sound like a pulse, steady and rhythmic. The lights shifted, shimmering brighter as if reacting to their presence. The air around them grew heavier, charged with energy. "We should be careful," Alex warned, his gaze sharp. "Whatever this is, it could lead us to places far beyond where we've come from. But it's not without danger." The family hesitated, unsure whether to proceed or retreat. The mother's mind raced. Was this a trap set by the aliens, or something they could truly use to escape? But as she looked at Alex, she saw no fear in his eyes, only resolve. He believed this could lead to their salvation. With a deep breath, she made a decision. "We'll follow you," she said quietly, "but we have to be ready for anything." Together, they stepped closer to the shimmering gateway. The lights grew brighter, and the hum became louder, almost deafening. Slowly, the towers began to shift, forming a pathway, a tunnel that seemed to stretch beyond the stars. "This is it," Alex said, "the first step toward freedom." As they stepped through the gateway, they left behind the shadows of their past, the oppression, the fear, the pain. But what lay ahead was unknown, a vast, infinite space, filled with possibilities and perils alike. The mother glanced at her children, clutching their hands tightly. "We're free now," she murmured, "but it's only the beginning." The gateway led them to an unfamiliar realm, a place far removed from the desolate planet they had left behind. The air was cool, tinged with the scent of distant forests and metallic undertones. The sky stretched endlessly, painted with swirling stars that pulsed with a soft, ethereal glow. For the first time in a long while, the family felt something they hadn't in months: hope. But their relief was short-lived. The landscape around them was strange, shifting and alive. Large, crystalline formations towered in clusters, their surfaces reflecting back the stars above like giant mirrors. But as beautiful as it seemed, something beneath the surface pulsed with an unsettling energy. Shadows moved along the edges of their vision, invisible yet undeniably present. The gateway had transported them into a place teeming with unknown dangers. "What is this place?" the mother asked, her voice quiet, but her eyes scanning their surroundings with cautious suspicion. Alex stood beside her, his expression calm but alert. This is a way station, a place between worlds, used by travelers who seek to cross into the fringes of space. But it doesn't belong to just anyone. His voice had a note of warning. The place seemed to pulse with energy, almost alive. Its crystalline walls shimmered as if watching their every move, and strange machines hum in the distance, sending flickers of light through the air. "We must move carefully," Alex said, gesturing for the family to follow. "This isn't a safe haven. We've crossed into unknown territory, and there could be forces here that we can't see yet." The mother tightened her grip on her children's hands, her heart pounding. She knew the aliens wouldn't rest. If they had tracked them here, they wouldn't hesitate to hunt them down. This new place offered no protection from the galaxy's rulers. In fact, it might be more dangerous. As they moved deeper into the way station, the ground beneath them began to shift subtly. Strange patterns seemed to glow faintly in the stone beneath their feet, symbols they couldn't quite understand. It felt as though the very place was alive, breathing, watching. "What are those symbols?" the daughter asked, her eyes narrowing as she pointed to the glowing lines on the floor. Alex furrowed his brow, studying the patterns. "This is ancient technology, something left behind by beings long gone. It's meant to guide travelers, but it's also dangerous if you don't know how to interpret it." The mother's stomach twisted. Dangerous how? Alex hesitated for a moment before answering. "These markings, they're tied to an ancient system of control. Whoever created this place, they left warnings. There are traps here, hidden tests designed to keep the wrong people from moving forward." The family exchanged uneasy glances. They had survived on their own for so long, but this place was something else entirely. A web of ancient technology, both beautiful and deadly. And though Alex had brought them here, it was clear he didn't fully understand everything either. "We have to keep moving," Alex said, urgency creeping into his voice. "The aliens could be tracking us. They won't rest until they find us." Suddenly, a faint noise echoed from deeper within the way station, a soft hum that grew louder with each passing moment. The mother's senses sharpened as she turned toward the sound. Something was coming, something they couldn't see yet. "What is that?" she whispered, fear rising in her chest. "I'm not sure," Alex admitted, eyes narrowing. "But we don't have much time. We must find the way out before it catches up with us." The family moved quickly, their steps echoing faintly in the vast space. They navigated winding corridors, their surroundings shifting and transforming as if the place itself had a mind. Lights flickered unpredictably, casting long, strange shadows. It felt as though the walls were closing in around them, pressing down with unseen forces. As they moved, the mother couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The shadows seemed to follow them, lingering just beyond the edge of visibility. Always there, always waiting. And then, as they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon something. An ancient device, half buried in the ground, its surface covered in dust, but still humming faintly. "What is this?" the daughter asked, her voice trembling as she approached the device. Alex knelt down beside it, inspecting the machine carefully. This could be the key to navigating this place. But it's corrupted. It needs to be repaired. The mother glanced at Alex, her brow furrowed. "Can it help us escape?" "Yes," Alex replied, his eyes focused on the device. "If we can restore it, it might open a portal, another path to safety. But we'll need to be careful. This isn't something we can rush." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled slightly, a low, resonating vibration that seemed to pulse throughout the entire space. The shadows around them grew darker, more alive. And then, from deep within the way station, the sound grew louder, a low, grinding noise, accompanied by the distinct metallic clatter of footsteps. "They're here," Alex warned, his voice sharp. "The aliens, they found us." The mother's heart sank as she grabbed her children, pulling them close. Panic began to rise within her, but she forced herself to stay focused. We have to finish the repairs. We have to fix this device before they reach us. But as they worked quickly, the walls began to shift, and strange mechanical arms extended from hidden panels. The ancient technology, though dormant, had come alive, locking them in place. The symbols on the floor pulsed brighter, and the way station itself seemed to come alive, testing their resolve. "This is it," Alex muttered, pressing his hands against the machine's surface. "We have to finish this. Now." Time was slipping away. The mother could hear the approaching footsteps growing louder, closer. Her children clung to her, their eyes wide with fear. They didn't have much time before they would be trapped, or worse. "We have to stay strong," she whispered, her voice firm but trembling. "We've come too far to give up now." The way station pulsed with energy, alive in ways neither the mother nor her children could fully understand. The ancient machinery hummed, its surfaces glowing faintly as if waiting for someone to bring it back to life. Shadows twisted in the corners, slipping between the crystalline structures, moving as though alive. It wasn't just technology they had stepped into. It was something darker, something ancient and beyond their comprehension. The mother clung tightly to her children, her eyes darting around, searching for any signs of escape. Alex worked on the ancient device, his fingers moving quickly across its surface, making adjustments that sparked faint crackles of light. He had told them that restoring the machine could open a portal, a way to flee this place and leave behind the danger that was closing in. But with each passing second, the danger grew more real. The sound of footsteps echoed louder now, metallic and deliberate, drawing closer. The alien patrols were hunting them, and they were closing in fast. Alex motioned for the family to move toward a corridor at the edge of the way station, his eyes locked on the machine. "We don't have much time left. The device needs just a few more adjustments, and we can get out. But we'll have to be quick." The mother glanced down at her children, their faces pale, eyes wide with fear. The boy clung tightly to her side, his small hand shaking, while her daughter stood stiff, gripping her own weapon, an old makeshift tool they had found during their travels. It was all they had, but they knew it wouldn't be enough against whatever was coming. "They'll catch us if we stay," the mother said firmly, looking at Alex. "We can't wait for this device to finish. We need to move." "I'm almost there," Alex replied, his voice steady, though beads of sweat lined his brow. "Just hold on a little longer." But as if the way station itself had grown aware of their presence, the machinery began to stir. The walls around them shifted, revealing deeper, darker passages hidden behind veiled corridors. And from deep within the shadows, shapes began to materialize, figures clad in sleek, dark armor, their movements silent yet precise. The alien patrols had found them, and they were surrounded. "These are the guards," Alex muttered, his eyes narrowing. "They've been searching for you. You need to stay back. Hide while I finish this." The mother's heart pounded. She grabbed her children tighter, instinctively pulling them behind the nearest pillar. But there was no place to truly hide, not in this vast, interconnected structure. The aliens were everywhere now, no longer confined to patrolling the edges, but moving closer, blocking off every escape route. One of the alien soldiers stepped forward, a tall, imposing figure, his armor gleaming in the faint light. His visor reflected their own anxious faces, hiding any expression. "You will surrender." The alien's voice came through a distorted speaker, cold and unwavering. "There is no escape." Alex stepped forward, standing between the family and the approaching patrol. His body was tense, his stance confident but careful. "We're leaving. None of you can stop us." The alien guards shifted, tightening their formation. They weren't going to allow them to walk away, especially now that they knew the travelers had knowledge of the ancient machine. This wasn't just about capture anymore. It was about control. "You have no place here," the alien leader said, his voice harsh. "You're trespassing on sacred ground. Surrender, and you will be dealt with quickly." Alex's jaw tightened. He glanced back at the family, his expression serious. "Listen to me. I can get us out, but you have to trust me. Stick together and follow my lead. This is our only chance." The mother nodded quickly, clutching her children tightly. "We have no other option. We have to believe in him." The alien guards raised their weapons, a low hum building as energy blades ignited at their sides. The air grew heavier, thick with tension. And then, without warning, the way station itself seemed to respond. Its crystalline walls began to ripple, emitting strange, vibrating waves that distorted reality. The ground beneath them trembled, and the shadows stretched, pulling toward the intruders. "We can't fight them here," Alex said urgently. "We need to move. Now." The mother acted first, grabbing her children and darting toward a narrow passageway. Alex followed closely, his eyes locked on the alien guards as they advanced. The way station shifted again, corridors folding in on themselves, creating new paths while old ones collapsed. The floor beneath them pulsed with energy, leaving them momentarily disoriented. "Where do we go?" the daughter asked, her voice shaking as they ran. "We keep moving forward," Alex replied, glancing back. "The portal is still ahead. We can reach it if we don't stop." The aliens moved quickly, their armor making no sound as they pursued. They were relentless, efficient, and the way station worked against them every step of the way. The shadows deepened, moving with purpose, and the energy in the air grew more intense. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the area, a burst of energy from one of the alien soldiers' weapons. The blast struck a nearby pillar, sending chunks of crystalline debris raining down. Dust filled the air, and the family had to shield their faces. "We're running out of time," Alex said urgently. "We have to keep going. Stay close." The mother grabbed her children once more and pushed forward, her steps quick but faltering. The path ahead twisted into darker corridors, and the way station itself seemed to pulse, guiding them. But it was also dangerous. Each twist and turn seemed to bring them closer to something ancient, something they couldn't quite understand. "Where's the portal?" she asked, her voice desperate. "It's nearby," Alex assured them, though his voice was strained. "Just a little further." Suddenly, they rounded another corner, and before them, the shimmering light of the portal began to form, a brilliant, swirling gateway shimmering with energy. The hum grew louder, and a strange warmth washed over them, calling them forward. It was almost too beautiful to resist. "There it is," Alex exclaimed, his voice filled with hope. But before they could move toward it, the alien leader stepped into view, blocking their path. His armor glowed with intense energy, and his visor scanned each of them, cold and unyielding. "This ends here," the alien declared. "You will not escape." The mother clenched her fists, determination burning in her eyes. "We're not giving up. Not now." Alex stepped forward, blocking her and the children. "This is where you make your stand," the alien scoffed. "You will fall like the others." But Alex didn't flinch. He stood his ground, his eyes locked on the alien soldier. The portal lay just beyond. Freedom was within reach, but they couldn't let the enemy get in their way. "This is the last chance," Alex said, his voice steady. "Move aside or face the consequences." The alien leader's visor flashed with a sinister light. "You will all be absorbed into the shadows of this place." And then, as the guards raised their weapons once more, the way station itself seemed to shudder, a wave of energy pulsing outward, shaking the very foundation beneath them. "We can't fight them now," Alex yelled. "We have to go through the portal. Now." The family didn't hesitate. With one last look at Alex, they sprinted toward the shimmering gateway. The energy swirled around them, pulling them forward, and the alien soldiers followed, hunters in pursuit. But as they stepped through the portal, the shadows closed in behind them, and the ancient way station vanished into the void, leaving nothing but silence in its place. The shimmering portal spat them out onto hard ground, the sudden stillness disorienting after the chaos of the way station. The mother stumbled forward, her arms tight around her children, as Alex tumbled beside them, gasping for breath. The air here was fresh, but carried a strange metallic tang. The sky above was dark, illuminated by streaks of glowing green clouds that rippled like waves. This new world was both alien and beautiful, a strange blend of serenity and unease. The mother straightened, her legs trembling as she surveyed their surroundings. Towering structures of glass-like material rose in the distance, their surfaces glinting faintly with an internal light. The landscape was scattered with jagged rock formations, their edges sharp and glimmering as if made of crystal. Streams of water ran through the cracks, glowing faintly with a blue hue, casting a soft light on their faces. "Where are we?" the mother whispered, her voice carrying a mix of awe and fear. Alex pulled himself up, brushing the dust off his clothes. He studied the horizon, his brow furrowed. "This is a neutral zone," he explained, "a place the ancient builders left behind, meant for travelers who escaped the way station. It's meant to be safe, but we can't assume it'll stay that way." The daughter clung to her mother, her wide eyes scanning the unfamiliar terrain. "Are they still following us?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex shook his head. "The portal would have closed behind us. The way station's defenses likely stopped them from coming through." He paused, his expression darkening. "But that doesn't mean we're alone here." The mother's stomach churned at his words. After everything they had endured, the thought of more danger was unbearable. She looked at her children, their faces pale but determined, and resolved to keep moving forward. They couldn't stop now. "We need to find shelter," Alex said, breaking the silence. "This world might seem calm, but we don't know what's out there. We'll rest, regroup, and then plan our next move." The family followed Alex as he led them toward a rocky outcrop in the distance. The jagged formations offered some cover, their crystalline surfaces glinting in the strange light. The mother kept her children close, her eyes darting nervously across the landscape. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound a potential threat. As they reached the outcrop, Alex crouched down, examining the ground. "This area looks stable," he said. "We can stay here for the night. I'll keep watch." The mother hesitated, her instincts screaming that they couldn't trust the calm. "Do you think they'll find us here?" she asked quietly. Alex met her gaze, his expression serious. "The aliens? No, not immediately. But this world, it's not entirely abandoned. There are things here, remnants of the ones who built it. If we disturb the wrong thing, we could trigger them." The children sat close together, their small forms huddled under the mother's watchful eye. The daughter stared at the glowing streams nearby, her curiosity overcoming her fear. "Why does the water glow?" she asked softly. Alex glanced at the streams. "It's infused with energy, likely from the core of this planet. The ancient builders left traces of their technology everywhere, even in the natural elements. This place is alive in ways you wouldn't expect." The boy tilted his head. "Alive? Like the way station?" Alex nodded. "Similar, but not as hostile. The energy here is passive. It won't harm us unless we provoke it." The mother frowned, her unease growing. "And what happens if we do provoke it?" Alex's silence was answer enough. As night fell, the strange sky shifted, the green clouds giving way to shimmering stars that seemed impossibly close. The air grew colder, and an eerie stillness settled over the landscape. Alex sat by the edge of the outcrop, his eyes scanning the horizon. The mother sat nearby, her children asleep beside her, their breathing soft and steady. "You saved us," she said quietly, breaking the silence. Alex didn't turn to face her. "I did what anyone should have done." "No," she insisted, her voice firm. "Most wouldn't have risked their lives for us. You did. Why?" He hesitated before answering, his voice low. "Because I know what it's like to be hunted. To have nowhere to turn and no one to help. I couldn't stand by and let that happen to you. The mother watched him, sensing the weight of his words. There was a pain in his voice, a history he hadn't shared. She wanted to ask more, but decided against it. For now, they needed to focus on survival. Hours passed in tense silence, the stillness broken only by the faint hum of the glowing streams. The mother drifted into an uneasy sleep, her body and mind exhausted from the day's events. But Alex remained awake, his senses sharp. Just before dawn, a faint sound reached his ears, a low, rhythmic hum that seemed to come from deep within the ground. His eyes narrowed as he scanned the landscape, searching for the source, and then on the horizon, he saw it, a faint light moving toward them, too steady to be natural. "Wake up," Alex said sharply, his voice cutting through the quiet. The mother jolted awake, her heart racing. "What is it?" "Something's coming," Alex replied, his voice grim. "We need to move. Now." The children stirred, their sleep interrupted by their mother's urgent hands shaking them awake. "Get up," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We have to go." As they scrambled to their feet, the humming grew louder, the light on the horizon growing brighter. Whatever was coming, it wasn't friendly. "This world isn't as safe as I thought," Alex muttered. "We'll have to find another way to survive." The family hurried into the shadows, leaving the outcrop behind as the light drew closer. The mother's heart pounded in her chest, her grip tight on her children's hands. They had escaped the way station, but their fight for survival was far from over. The family hurried through the rocky terrain, their footsteps silent against the uneven ground. Alex led the way, his eyes scanning the landscape with careful precision. The green-tinged sky above them pulsed faintly, casting an eerie glow over the crystalline landscape. The air around them was thick with the scent of energy, both familiar and foreign, and it left a bitter taste on their tongues. "What's following us?" the mother whispered, her voice tense, as she gripped her children tightly. "I don't know," Alex muttered, his jaw tightening. "But it's coming closer. We need to find shelter, something that can give us cover and keep us hidden." As they pressed forward, the strange hum that had been faint in the distance grew louder, a steady vibration that seemed to penetrate the air itself. Shadows flickered at the edges of the landscape, moving in a way that wasn't natural. The rocks around them shimmered, rippling as if alive, and Alex knew they were running out of time. "We're being hunted," Alex said, his voice low but steady. "And whatever it is, it's not from this world." The mother's grip tightened on her children's hands. What kind of creature would come here? What do they want from us? Alex glanced back briefly, his eyes narrowing. "It's not just a creature. This world is filled with remnants, leftover defenses and technology that shouldn't be active. They're waking up, responding to us. And we've triggered something we shouldn't have." The daughter clutched her makeshift weapon tighter, her small hands trembling. "Do you think it's those aliens again?" "No," Alex replied, shaking his head. "These aren't like the ones from before. These are different. They're older, deeper connected to this place. We've disturbed something that's been buried here for a long time." As they rounded a sharp bend in the rocky terrain, Alex's eyes caught movement in the distance, shadows slipping between the crystalline formations. Dark shapes, almost human but with unnatural curves and sharp edges, moving with eerie precision. They were closing in fast. "Stay close to me," Alex commanded, his voice firm. "We need to keep quiet and out of sight." The family pressed themselves against a nearby cliff face, their hearts pounding as the figures drew nearer. The shadows moved swiftly, flowing between the rocks like liquid darkness. They didn't seem to walk. There was no sound, only the faint ripple of energy that followed in their wake. "What are those things?" the mother whispered, her voice shaking. "I don't know," Alex replied, his eyes narrowing. "But they're connected to this place. They're not alive in the way we are, not living beings. There's something else entirely." The The shadows paused briefly, scanning the area as if searching for something. The air between them shimmered, faint waves of energy, distorting the ground beneath their feet. Alex motioned for the family to stay still, their breaths shallow as they waited in the dim silence. "They're here for us," Alex muttered, "and they'll stop at nothing to find us." Suddenly, one of the shadowy figures raised an arm, and a beam of dark energy shot out, slicing through the air. The ground beneath them trembled, the very stones shaking as the energy pulse rippled outward. A crack formed in the earth nearby, a deep, jagged line where the energy had struck. "They're using technology," Alex whispered, "and it's unlike anything I've seen before." The mother's eyes flicked to the glowing stream of water not far from them. It was still, its surface reflecting faint ripples of light, but she could feel its energy humming beneath the surface, responding to something unseen. Something ancient. "They're connected to the water," she said softly. "To that glow. It's feeding them." Alex nodded grimly. "Yes, this world, its very essence, has awakened, and it's reacting to their presence. We're caught in something far bigger than we expected." As the shadows moved closer, the family had no choice but to find a way out. They slipped deeper into the rocky terrain, weaving between jagged formations and using the shadows to their advantage. But even as they tried to evade detection, Alex could feel the strain, the energy from the land pressing in on them, making it harder to breathe. "We need to find somewhere safe," Alex said, his voice low. "A place where we can regroup and figure out what to do next." Suddenly, ahead, the landscape shifted. Another crystalline structure rising from the ground, its surface shimmering faintly. This wasn't just any rock formation. It had the look of something man-made, something ancient, and yet still somehow intact. "This might be it," Alex murmured, pointing toward the structure. "A place of shelter. But we have to move fast before they catch up." The mother followed Alex's lead, her eyes darting around as the shadows closed in behind them. The glowing streams nearby pulsed brighter, and the air seemed to hum louder, resonating with something far older than they could comprehend. "Whatever you do," Alex said, glancing over his shoulder, "don't touch the water. Don't disturb it. It's tied to the defenses of this world." They pressed toward the structure, each step growing more desperate as the shadows crept closer. The ground beneath them seemed to shift and crack, waves of energy surging outward as if in response to their presence. The crystal walls shimmered faintly, pulsing with an internal power. "What is this place?" the mother asked, her voice trembling. "A refuge, left by those who came before us," Alex replied. "But it's also a trap. If we can't control the energy here, it'll devour us." The daughter clutched her weapon tightly, her eyes scanning the glowing streams. "We have to make it inside, no matter what." Alex moved swiftly, his fingers grazing the crystalline surface. He could feel the energy thrumming beneath his fingertips. A connection, faint but undeniable. This structure wasn't just a shelter. It was part of the world itself, connected to its very essence. "We'll find a way," Alex whispered, "but we have to stay calm." Suddenly, one of the shadowy figures stepped forward, its presence menacing and oppressive. It raised its arm, the dark energy swirling around it, crackling with power. "Get inside," Alex barked. "Now." The family moved as one, rushing toward the structure just as the shadows lunged forward. The air around them ignited with energy, and the ground beneath their feet trembled. The mother shielded her children as they entered the crystalline shelter, only moments before the shadows unleashed a barrage of dark energy that tore through the ground behind them. Inside, the energy was more intense, pulsing, alive. It hummed beneath their feet, and the walls seemed to shift and ripple in response. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the place settle around them. "We have to find a way to shut this down," he said, his eyes locked on the glowing symbols etched into the walls. "If we don't, this place will consume everything." The mother looked around, her heart pounding. And what happens to us? Alex's expression darkened. We become part of it. Inside the crystalline shelter, the energy surged like a living force. Bright streams of light swirling against the walls, pulsing faintly with a life of its own. The air was thick with a strange warmth, both comforting and unsettling. The family huddled together, their breaths shallow as they scanned the space. The structure seemed vast, the crystalline walls stretching high above them, reflecting the strange glow that lit the entire room. Alex moved cautiously, his hand trailing over the smooth surface. The walls shimmered beneath his touch, as if alive. The symbols etched into the crystals glowed faintly, lines and shapes that pulsed with faint energy, shifting subtly as though they held some kind of hidden meaning. "What is this place?" the mother asked again, her voice barely audible. Her eyes darted from one shimmering wall to another, trying to make sense of the surroundings. Alex shook his head. "It's part of this world. An ancient construct, a place meant to harness and control the energy, something the builders left behind. But it's active now. It's reacting to us." The daughter clung tightly to her mother's side, looking around the strange space with wide, fearful eyes. "Are we safe here?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We should be for now," Alex replied, though his own voice was tense. "But we can't stay here forever. That energy, it's alive. It's watching us." The shadows from outside had stopped pressing against the crystalline walls, but Alex knew it wouldn't be long before they returned. Whatever had triggered their attack earlier, whatever was drawing them here, was still active, and it was only a matter of time before they found another way in. "They'll come back," Alex said, glancing toward the mother. "We need to figure out how to stop this energy, or this place won't stay hidden for long." The mother frowned. "How do we shut it down? We don't even know what it is." "I think I have an idea," Alex replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The symbols, there's something about them. They seem like a code, a pattern that's connected to this world's energy. If we can decipher it, maybe we can shut it off." He moved closer to one of the glowing symbols etched into the wall, kneeling to examine it. The lines seemed to shift under his fingers, patterns glowing softly before fading into the surrounding surface. Alex stared at them, his mind racing as he tried to make sense of their meaning. "I just need more time," Alex muttered, "but we don't have much before." Before he could finish, a low, rumbling sound echoed through the crystalline chamber. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, and the air grew heavier, charged with an unnatural force. A wave of energy rippled outward, stirring the glowing streams. The symbols on the walls began to shift violently, their glow intensifying. "The energy, it's reacting," Alex exclaimed, his eyes widening. "We've triggered something by being here. It's amplifying." The mother grabbed Alex's arm. "We need to get out of here." Alex gritted his teeth, trying to hold his focus. "We can't leave yet. We need to figure out how to stop this first." But it was too late. The crystals around them started to glow brighter, more fiercely, and the energy surged. The walls began to shimmer, lines of light running wildly between the symbols, forming new patterns. It was as though the entire structure had come to life, reacting to the disturbance, reaching out to reclaim control. Suddenly, the shadows appeared again. Only this time, they weren't moving alone. Strange, tendril-like projections extended from the crystalline walls, thin, glowing strands of energy that slithered outward, connecting to the shadowy figures. The two forces, energy and darkness, merged, creating something new and more dangerous. "They're combining," Alex shouted, his eyes locking onto the growing danger. "The energy is feeding them." The mother grabbed her children and pulled them back. "We have to leave. There's nothing we can do here." "No," Alex barked. "We have to stop it, or it'll consume everything. I can't give up now." The shadows, now larger and more menacing, approached, their movements faster and more purposeful. They extended long, tendril-like limbs, each limb glowing faintly with energy as they moved closer. Their eyes, hollow and dark, gleamed with something ancient and sinister. "We don't have a choice," the mother pleaded. "We have to run." Alex's fists clenched, his heart pounding as he stared at the growing nightmare before him. The energy from the crystals continued to surge, feeding the shadows, making them stronger. But then something shifted within him, an idea, faint but enough to give him hope. "There's a core deep inside this place," Alex muttered. "That's where the energy originates. If we destroy it, we can stop this madness." "The core?" the mother asked, her eyes narrowing in understanding. "Where is it?" "I think it's beneath this chamber," Alex said, pointing to a glowing section of the ground. "But we need to get down there before." The shadows lunged forward, closing the distance between them. The tendrils extended faster, striking toward the family. Alex barely had time to react. He grabbed the mother's arm and yanked her back, shielding her from the incoming attack. "Go," he commanded. "I'll hold them off. Get out of here." "What?" "No," the mother protested, panic flooding her voice. "I'm not leaving you." "You have to." Alex growled. "I can't stop them by myself, but you can find the core, find a way to destroy it. You're the only one who can." Tears welled in the mother's eyes, but she knew he was right. They couldn't stay. This wasn't a battle they could win together. Her children needed to escape. She nodded, swallowing her fear. "I'll find it," she whispered. "I'll destroy it." "Good," Alex said, his voice firm. "Go, and don't look back." The mother grabbed her children tightly, her heart breaking, and ran. The crystalline structure pulsed with energy, the shadows closing in on Alex. But he didn't move. He stood his ground, fists clenched, ready to face whatever came. As the family disappeared into the shadows, Alex turned to face the approaching danger. The tendrils slithered closer, reaching toward him with deadly intent. But he didn't back down. He'd faced enough to know that sometimes hope came from standing firm and fighting to the end. "I'll hold you off," Alex muttered, "and I won't let you win."